What's up guys, welcome to the video. It's MMA Tizzer here and we're back with another tier list. Today we are doing who has taken the most damage in the UFC fights, and I've got a few guys all around the screen. I'm going to bring them in and I'm going to rank them from S being basically they're going to be dead by the time they're 50. A is like, major CT or major bodily damage, all the way down to lower down the list to D and F, which is, they've taken a bit of damage, but they'll be fine. So without further ado, let's get right into this tier list. And let me also just remind you, please subscribe and leave a like if you enjoy the video as well, because that really helps the channel out as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into it. So first of all, we have Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold, he's going in B tier. Actually, he's going in A, because first of all, he was brutally knocked out by pretty much anyone good he ever fought. So obviously he even got knocked out by Michael Bisping, and I mean, we all remember that famous Jan Blachowicz KO. That would take years off your life. Okay, that is a bad punch. You don't want to be getting hit by that. And I was going to put him in B because those alone don't qualify for A. But recently, I know it wasn't in the UFC, but he had a fight with Mike Perry in the bare knuckle boxing, and he also quit on the feet to that, and he took big shots from Perry too, and I'm pretty sure he lost a tooth as well, so that's why he's going in A, because he will never get that tooth back. Okay, so moving on, we have Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's going in B because even though he might have actually taken more damage than Luke Rockhold, he has nothing to show for it, unlike Luke Rockhold, who's obviously missing a tooth. And yeah, Dan Hooker, he's been in loads of wars. He's been finished a few times. Obviously, Arnold Allen finished him about a year or two ago. He had a 5-round scrap with Dustin Poirier. That was insane. They both took major damage in that fight. And I mean, I could go on. Obviously, he got knocked out by Michael Chandler as well. And that was a big knockout as well. He got knocked down by a massive overhand from Chandler. So and he's got power too. So that's why Dan Hooker is at B. Moving on, we have Alistair Overeem. He's going. We'll put him in S tier. Yeah, he's going to be in the low S tier. So he's not like the most. He hasn't taken the most damage, but he's still taken a lot. Obviously, the Ngannou KO alone, that he's going to probably put you in A or S on its own. And I'm pretty sure he's been knocked out like 9 times, 10 times in his fights. He's been finished like 10 times by a TKO or a KO or something like that. It's a crazy big number. Just off the top of my head. He also got that Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight where he literally lost half his mouth. So yeah, I do feel really bad for him, and I'm wishing him good health, but honestly, I am worried for him at the same time. I don't know how much punishment your brain can take, especially when you're fighting in heavyweight. That just contributes to it even more. Like, a lot of these guys lower down the list, like Dan Hooker, he's fighting guys that are literally nearly half the size of heavyweights, Meanwhile, Overeem was getting knocked out by the strongest puncher in the world, maybe, in Francis Ngannou. So, it just goes to show, doesn't it, that some of these guys may actually run into problems in the future. Moving on, Conor McGregor. Conor's going in C tier, and this is not, obviously he's been knocked out before by Dustin, but that isn't why he's here, because he was only really knocked out once. The reason he's here is because he broke his leg in their third fight, okay? So that was pretty permanent damage, had him sidelined for a long time, and also I think he did more psychological damage to him than anything, because ever since then he's been even more unhinged than usual. Just check out his Twitter if you don't believe me, there's crazy stuff on there. I can't really talk much more about it, or my channel will probably get demonetized, to be honest. But yeah, so that's Conor McGregor, C tier. He hasn't taken too much damage except the leg break, but more psychological from the looks of things. But anyway, yeah. Moving on, John Jones. He's going in D tier. Okay, John's had a lot of fights and he's never really been hit clean. He's had a few shots landed on him in some of his light heavyweight fights. Dominic Reyes landed a few good ones, but nothing that would have, really hurt you. But primarily, Chael Sonnen did permanently mess his toe up, so that is why I'm putting him in this list, because his toe is completely destroyed after Chael Sonnen grappled him. I don't really know what happened, but at least every time he looks down, he gets reminded of the GOAT Chael Sonnen. So that's that. Moving on, we have Curtis Blades. Curtis is going in A tier, that's for sure. First of all, he's getting knocked out by heavyweights, which is way worse than, getting knocked out by like bantamweights or flyweights. And he's been knocked out by Ngannou twice. One of them wasn't clean out, so I will give him that. And he also recently got destroyed by Sergey Pavlovich. He took a lot of damage in that fight. And yeah, he also got one of the most brutal KOs like he got KO'd in one of the most brutal ways against Derek Lewis when he literally dove headfirst into the world's most strong uppercut. Derek literally put his whole entire body weight into it, and he went headfirst into it like a diver diving into water. So RIP, Curtis Blades. And also, if you go back and listen to that fight, he actually is making noises when he's unconscious on the floor, which is really, really worrying. Anyway, moving on, Michael Chandler. I mean, Michael Chandler's going in B with Dan Hooker. He's been in a lot of wars, obviously. He's taken a lot of damage. He's been knocked out quite a few times. He's been finished. He's quite easy to get knocked down. He gets knocked down in literally most of his fights. In my recent memory, the only UFC fight he hasn't been knocked down in is a Dan Hooker fight, and he got a first round KO. But he's been knocked down by Gaethje. Obviously, got finished by Charles, and he got knocked down. Actually, I don't think he did get knocked down by Poirier, but he did take massive damage in that. And if the fence wasn't there, he might have been out on his feet there. So I guess we'll never know. So yeah, that's why Michael Chandler is there. Moving on, Max Holloway. He's going in A. If this guy didn't have the best chin in the UFC, he would have undoubtedly been finished a few times by now, probably like 3 times. But his chin is so good, it's actually a detriment to his health, because it just means he can keep taking shots when a normal person's body just wouldn't have that and would just simply give in. But Max Holloway's chin is just unbreakable right now. Maybe in the future it will get broken, but right now he hasn't been finished. He hasn't even been knocked down in 20 UFC fights. So Max Holloway stays undefeated, but geez, he's taking a lot. Actually, you know, just because he hasn't been knocked out, we're putting him in C, because that's unfair. But this guy's chin is so good, I'm just scared he's taking so much damage. But anyway, moving on, Andrei Arlovski. He's gone at the top of A tier. This guy's been around for way too long, and it's in heavyweight division, so those two things together, they're just a recipe for disaster. He's been finished by practically the entire top 15 in heavyweight at some point in his career, and he recently got finished. I'm pretty sure he's 43 and he's still fighting, or 44, which is crazy, but he should retire, and he still doesn't. He didn't even retire in his last fight, I'm pretty sure, but the UFC might cut him, to be honest. So and if that happens, it's for his own good, because let me tell you, he's made a lot of money. He's on a really good contract. Anyway, moving on, the highest pick on the list, the S tier, the damage of all damage, Sam Alvey. Now, Sam Alvey, he basically went on a 7-fight losing streak, and didn't get cut from the UFC. And I don't know how. They must hate him. But the only reason I have to explain it is supposedly that he made them look like controversial losses. Like he always seemed to intervene just as the referee was stopping it and get a second wind, and then he'd be like, "Whoa, why did you stop it? I was totally fine." You know, even though he was like doing the chicken dance all over the place and got knocked down about 5 times in the fight. But you know, recently Mikhail Olajaychik, he KO'd him, and that was absolutely brutal. He got knocked down about 2 times, and his family was there. So I've got 2 words of advice to Sam Alvey. Sorry, 2 things. Don't bring your kids to your fights, bro. And please retire from fighting, because I can't watch you getting KO'd again. You seem too nice. Anyway, moving on. Tony Ferguson. He's going in the top of A tier. I know this guy's only been finished once, but it was one of the most brutal finishes I've ever seen. And other than that, his chin is so good that it just allows him to get into wars. You know, he's had a war with Pettis. He's had just loads and loads of wars. You know, he fought Cerrone. I know he didn't take as much damage, but he still took some. And he just fought a lot of the best people. Obviously, Justin Gaethje, that definitely did him a lot of harm. He got absolutely lit up. His chin basically didn't give in. His body gave in before his chin in that fight, which just shows you how much damage he was absorbing in that fight, and it's crazy. And he really needs to retire, but he's fighting again soon, which is just crazy to me. So yeah, I probably won't be picking him to win that fight, to be honest, guys. Anyway, moving on to our final pick on the list, we have Derek Brunson. Now he's going here. We're just going to move these two next to each other, but he's going there because yeah, Derek Brunson, he gets knocked out a lot. He's really sloppy. He's really bad at fighting, but he does have some good wins. I mean, he beat Darren Till, so that was a free paycheck for him. But geez, I mean, recently he got finished by Dricus du Plessis. I think he actually might have retired now, but yeah, honestly, the amount of times I've seen him get finished like he got finished by Israel Adesanya, who's not really notorious for finishing people. I know that was like young Izzy, who was much more aggressive, but still, he was basically just getting finished by anyone who knew how to strike somewhat. So I couldn't watch that anymore. Derek Brunson, I'm glad you've retired. At least you have a brain still remaining enough to know that you needed to quit while you could still think correctly. And that is the end of this video. I didn't realise how short it was going to be, but it's what it is. There's obviously a lot of people I've missed on this thing, but obviously I could only include people that are still in the UFC or have still been in it recently, because obviously if I was to go back 5 or 10 years, there'd be loads of people, particularly heavyweights. There's a lot of heavyweights that could be on this list. So obviously leave comments on who I've missed out, because I know I've missed out a lot of people. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, because it really helps the channel, and also it just means you're not going to miss my next upload and it'll get recommended to you. And yeah, comment down below what you thought of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See.